Okay. Okay, hello. So today we're going to talk about kitchens. And I think this is a really important topic because I can't tell you, on my sweatshirt, but to have a wardrobe malfunction. Okay. Um, so dinner and a show, everybody. Um, I can't tell you how often in the almost 10 years that I have been doing this, I will be working with someone for, not maybe they're in KGG, they're in the secondary program, right? They've been with me a year and a half at this friggin' point. And it finally comes to light that their kitchen is just unusable. Like, is it like a complete and utter, like you can't even walk into it? Sometimes. And I think for obvious reasons, that isn't necessarily the first thing that people will tell me. But I think that that's a very common thing especially in the neurodivergent community, especially in the chronic illness community and a community that has a lot of chronic fatigue and depression and things like that. So I think it's really important to talk about the different facets of that because are there kitchens that are unusable and they're not like you can walk into them, use them fine, but they're just not laid out right, or they get easily messy, they make you anxious. There are so many different degrees from I just don't like being in there to you cannot even enter the room that can happen. And I feel like it just never gets talked about that that's going to be what can become a hindrance for starting a healthier lifestyle or trying to maintain a healthier lifestyle. So put a one in the chat if you saw today's topic and felt like you could relate to it. Because it's okay if you're just watching because you watch the Zooms, but who saw today's topic and thought, oh, I need that? Put a one in the chat. We got, yep. So, a couple of ones coming in. So, I think at the end of the day, I want you guys to tell me what is your biggest challenge with wanting to be in your kitchen? Tell me in the chat, what is your biggest challenge with wanting to be in your kitchen? I've gotten all kinds of answers to this question over the years. It could be you're sharing a place with, like your roommates or parents or something, and you don't want to be in the kitchen because it's a common area and it's stressful. I've gotten, like I said, issues with holding on to stuff, with hoarding. It doesn't get talked about a lot and there's a lot of shame. a maid, a maid. No, but in your own words, what makes your kitchen not conducive? Is it messy? Is it laid out horribly? Like, what's the deal? Cluttered and nerve-wracking. I just hate it. Okay, just not somewhere you want to be. There's always like dishes and clutter on the counters. It drives me nuts. Yeah. I always say I call it the stuff that's in orbit. It's like a film, there's just like a random accumulation of just stuff that orbits around your countertops, right? And I don't know about you, but that drives me nuts. And I say this, I'm looking around, I got shit on my counter behind this computer. I'm in my kitchen right now, right? So I'm going to give you guys like very realistic advice today, but by no means do I want you to think that this is like, I think you know me by now enough to know, like, this is not some Instagram influencer, perfect, beautiful kitchen, and I'm going to tell you how to have your own beautiful kitchen too. It's just here's how we remove the boundaries that make you not want to cook in your own kitchen, you know? So, I agree. The clutter on the countertops, I have found a couple of things that have been working. If you don't know, if you don't get it, you don't get it. But like I messaged a couple people last week and I was like, I'm actually really proud of myself. I've kept my island, my kitchen island, clean for a full week. Like I was literally, I wanted a ribbon. I wanted a ribbon and a trophy because I don't know why that sounds like really hard, but it doesn't sound that hard, but it's really hard, And I feel like if you know, you know. So, yeah, drives me crazy. Cluttered and messy and food/cooking, bad connection to past memories. Oh, that's a different take on it too. Feeling like, it's a space you don't want to be in because it reminds you of things that you don't want to be reminded of. There's food is food and cooking and kitchens and stuff like that, I do feel like is it's a very complex room, right? There's like a lot of energy to to the kitchen. Like they call it the heart of the house, you know? At least in our American homes, right? So, between this cold and trying not to whisper, I feel like my voice sounds really deep tonight. But okay, so let's get into it. I'm going to talk about like the way I laid today out is I'm going to talk about the different areas that I feel like create a domino effect in a kitchen that make it harder to want to be in there. So we're going to go bullet point by bullet point and talk about the different parts of the kitchen that I think you should focus or we should focus on to kind of like almost like a baby step, right? Like if you fix up this area, it will probably allow you to then work on this area or this area, you know? So you'll see what I mean. The first stop, the start of it all. And I channeled, if you guys saw the picture I posted with the link today, was Gordon Ramsay. I channeled my inner Gordon Ramsay. But the way you store your food is the way you're going to end up wanting to utilize your food, right? The energy and the effort that you put into storing your food, to whether it's ingredients or ready-made things or whatever, is going to be the energy in which you're going to enjoy that food. So if you just like throw shit in your fridge and you haven't gone through there in God knows how long, and you have every friggin' squirt bottle condiment you could think of cluttering up your door, but you haven't used any of them in 6 months, you're not going to be turning out food necessarily that's all that exciting. I'm not talking about those of you who have the hot sauce collection. That's cool. But I, like as long as they're not expired. I just mean, like when your fridge becomes a dumping ground, and it happens to the best of us. So I'm not saying anything today with judgment. Also, I think I forgot to mention, I am literally a hoarder. So I don't judge anyone. I work extremely hard, and it's taken me probably 3 houses now to be able to figure out somewhat of a structure and not hoard my house up. But by no means, that's why I'm saying it's realistic. I'm still like, there's still normal mess that's going to happen most of the time, you know? But I just wanted to say that, like, I don't want anyone to feel judged because I get it. Okay. But yeah, if your fridge becomes a dumping ground, which it can be, then that's the same kind of energy that you're going to carry out through the entire process of cooking. Like, how exciting is that to go into, you know? And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, people, you could have a super messy fridge, and maybe you get in the kitchen and it's like Top Chef. I don't know. Good for you. I just think for the majority of the people that I've worked with and myself, that's not usually the case. So, and same thing for the freezer. If your freezer just looks like a sad tundra of frozen meat blocks with some shit stuffed in there, like you don't even know what you have. And then what are you going to take it out? And you're like, oh, another day I didn't thaw anything. I didn't thaw anything. And yet your freezer is getting more and more and more packed with stuff that you're not using. Anybody relate to that? I am guilty of that. My freezer, I don't even every now and again I have to do a major clean out because I'm like, I don't, and all of this too to say I can't stand food waste. So I don't want you guys to think, I mean, again, hoarder. I can't stand any waste. But there is a limit. I like to think of it as for the greater good. If the way you keep your food allows you to maintain a lifestyle that is healthier, that allows you to feel better for longer, have better health overall, then it's worth that additional, it's like, I don't like this analogy in the diet culture sense, but it's like pick your heart. It's kind of the same thing, right? I hate the waste, but I also hate feeling like my life is getting limited, because of sickness. So, um, yeah, the freezer. Hold on, I'm scrolling up. I have it as my chore for this weekend to clean the fridge. My thoughts on that, I think that's amazing that you have it in there. And if you accomplish things like that, where you set it up for a time that you're off and you do it, that's awesome. If anybody is having any kind of executive dysfunction with that, with just getting going and just getting doing that, it's like the first step can be a nightmare for us, right? My suggestion would be hack away at it every time you open it. Every time you open the fridge, throw out an expired bottle. Every time you open the fridge, throw out something you're just not going to eat, and you know it. You know you're not going to eat it. You know, throw out every time you open the fridge, throw out that old takeout container. And do it until it's all cleaned up. And you might be surprised that that happens faster, and then you have more time on the weekend because um, you guys might have remember me saying that things have a time weight to them, and sometimes things feel heavier in time than like it feels like it's going to take you all day and you need to spend all this time, but in actuality it could be maybe an hour. So, and I've been there, it feels like a big thing, a big undertaking. So instead, just break it, baby steps, break it down into like little chunks. Every time you open it, get rid of something. So, and again, no one's perfect, but if you try it each time, maybe throw some stuff out. I'm super disorganized. I don't understand it. Honestly, I don't. I get that. That's a mood because I'm super diligent in certain ways. I think a lot of us are. Those of us with like ADHD or executive dysfunctioning, neurodivergence, and all really doesn't mean that the way we are with one thing is how we are across the board. How many of you guys are great at organizing other people's homes or other people's anything? Like you're like, I should just start a business. Like I should just be a professional organizer. You help all your friends out with their cars and like all that stuff. Like you can clean stuff real well. You almost get off on it. Your own house, that's for next week, you know? Um, but we'll sit there and curse it off like I'm yelling. We'll curse it off, like walk in and look at the room and be like, oh my God, this fucking pigsty. I can't tell you how many times I've been there. So the freezer's in a terrible state. Yeah, just get in there. Every time you open it up, get rid of something. I've had frozen bananas in there for 5 months that I won't be using. Out it goes. You know what the good thing is that once you get past a certain point, now this might not be the same for anybody who's dealing with like OCD or again, hoarding disorder, like getting to this point has been a big milestone. But the more stuff you get rid of, you're gonna get like a little dopamine hit. Like you're gonna look at that like a quarter full fridge and or freezer and be like, I'm gonna go to Trader Joe's tomorrow, get some fucking dips. Like you're gonna get excited again for food, and it's gonna be such a silly thing because it's just room in your fridge, you know? So, or your freezer, I should say. I think all or nothing about cleaning. I usually do more times than not. It just doesn't get done until it's a disaster. That's a very common neurodivergent thing. And a lot of that has to do with the time weight of things. So if you feel like, do you guys know that game? What was it called? Like Katamari or something like that. It was like that little ball that like rolls through the town and it just picks things up and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger the more it like rolls around. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? I feel like you us neurodivergents can walk around and look at stuff and just add to the to-do list. I got to do that. I got to fix that. I got to call that guy. I got to make that appointment. I got to do, and it just like starts to build and build, and then before you know it, it doesn't get done until like alarm bells are going off because in our brains we think we have to do everything yesterday, So in that all or nothing sense, it's the same thing with like a lot of people with packing for trips, with just procrastination in general. If it's not going to affect really anyone but you know, um, until it's like, you know, all hands on deck kind of thing. But I get that. So that's why chunking it down, baby steps. The baby steps, for those of you guys also who have been with me for a while, try to start applying baby steps to anything that's challenging in your life because I swear it helps. If you figure out, okay, what's my baby step towards that goal? And when that baby step feels easy, you add another one, then another one. That approach could work for everything, for organizing. That's how I've been able to not make, this house end up like the last few. So, mainly my parents' fridge and my dining table, but not my own. Oh my God, the parents' fridge. The parents' fridge with the most impressive expiration dates of all, if you're like my parents. Um, my anxiety has been making me super clean at work and organized, and I feel so good. But my room, that's how it is. But then that's your Zen place, right? Like that's supposed to be your decompression area. And we're thinking of so many things every day that we're not thinking about the energy of our space. But if we're trying to make routines and habits, and we're cooking and doing all these things, of course you don't want the area that you're doing those things in to not feel good to be in, right? Just, you know? So anyone getting rid of food, obviously that's unopened and not expired, if you don't want to trash it, yes, you can post it on your local Buy Nothing Facebook page. I love that advice. You could also post it in like just your local town's page. You can post for pickups. There are also a lot of food bank um, organizations that are doing things with the items that can't be given to the food bank. So let me know. I love that, Nicole. Thank you for reminding me. Let me know if you need any help with those resources because I would be happy to help you find them in your area. Yep. Okay, so fix your fridge and your freezer situation, okay? An actionable step for this. Go in your fridge. Once you get rid of all of the expired shit in there, you're going to organize the fridge in terms of object permanence. So, for a lot of us, if it's not in front of our eyes, we tend to forget that it is there. If you've ever bought multiples of things unintentionally and you're like, "Oh shit, I didn't know I had this." Or, so it's called object permanence, and to beat that, you want to try to organize your fridge in terms of the things that you need to pull more, have those up front, right in view. Things that are obviously, I don't know why, if this makes sense to you guys, but like, you know how in school pictures they would have you on the risers or whatever, and you'd have to go like, the short people in the front and the tall people I was always in the back because I was always tall. And do that with your stuff in your fridge. Keep tall things in the back. And I know that might seem like silly information, but I didn't immediately think of doing that. So, and it definitely helped once I did. So, tall things in the back in order of like short, up to the front so you can kind of see. You can also buy risers online, like little shelves you can put in your fridge just to kind of bump up the stuff in the back if you need to. But just really focus on making things visible. That is the biggest challenge with keeping a fridge, and again, if you know, with this kind of stuff. So keep your fridge as visible and freezer as visible as possible. Um, let's see. Yeah, so specific meal groupings, like if you know you use certain items really frequently, keep them grouped together so you don't feel like you have to go and pull a bunch of different things. So, for example, this would be like I keep my trifecta, my sesame oil, soy sauce, garlic salt, all of that. I keep that stuff grouped together in the pantry where we have it, or even on my countertops, which it ends up a lot of the times until I get annoyed and I start cleaning my countertops with what I'm going to teach you. So, but I keep things grouped together. And if I do use them a lot, I will sometimes make an allowance to leave them really accessible because then the alternative becomes not cooking. So, I think when you're dealing with all of this stuff, it's important to keep in mind that there's going to be that balance. You want to put stuff away, not have clutter, but you want to make sure that what you do have that you use frequently is as accessible as possible to a ridiculous level. It helps. So, but what if the tall stuff in the back I use more often? Now I'm knocking stuff over. So then you could try to keep things to one side versus the other. So then you could try like taller things on one side. This way you can also adjust typically. I don't know your fridge setup, but you can typically adjust the shelves too. So then if maybe an alternate on that would be tall things organized based on frequency of use on one side, and then shorter things based on frequency of use on the other. That makes sense. Um, okay, so keep a dry erase board on your fridge if you can. When you toss stuff out and you double check that you actually don't have something, write it down on the dry erase. I forget to do this a lot, but when I do remember, it's super helpful because I can't tell you how many times I've been just like standing in the store, like, wait, I feel like I'm forgetting something. and then I get home and I don't have it. And then from then on out for the next year, I buy it every time I go to the store and I have accumulate it. No one wants that. So dry erase board can help. Buy frozen or canned when you can. It's just my tip. It's still just as nutritious. If anything, I'd like to think it's very nutritious because it's packed right like at the best at the height of ripeness. I think it's like one of the catchphrases. And they have extended shelf lives, so you don't have to worry about it going to die in your drawer. So, if you do enjoy fresh stuff, try to chop it into the form of what you'll probably use it, like cabbage, maybe shred it if you know you're going to shred it or whatever, right when you get home. I got like an 80% shot of me doing this, depending on what time of day my medication's kicking in, if I'm being honest. But when I do it, it makes my life that week exponentially easier. So try to think about how you're going to use an ingredient. And when you get it home, see if there's any steps you can take to store it in the form in which you're going to use it. Just take a little bit of pressure off the actual cooking time, which then makes it easier to want to cook. So, okay, so then the fridge stuff rolls into the rest of it, right? How you store your food is the way you're going to want to eat your food. So then let's go into actual storage, like dry storage, drawers, shelves, whatever. What do you feel? Tell me in the chat. What is your top storage concern in your kitchen? Take a minute and think about it. What is your top storage concern in your kitchen? Not having storage. That is a common one. hmm What particularly? Like, I know you're like, none, but like, if you could pick one source of storage that would be hugely helpful for you, what do you think your most helpful storage that you wish you could have would be? Nobody else has storage problems in their kitchen. Making stuff disappear for a month because I'm trying to keep my countertops clean. Oh, okay. It's meaning so like I guess as object permanence, right? Like things go away, but then they go away because you forget you have them. So out of sight, out of mind. If I got that right. Um, you wish you had shelves. Yeah, shelves would definitely help. So I'll talk about that in a minute. I'm going to get off track with that, but yes, shelves would definitely help. I'm trying to scroll. Not enough cabinet space. I keep appliances in a spare room and I hate going in there to get them, so I don't use them. That's a big one. My fridge isn't big enough. I always call it a half person fridge. We were able to come up with ways to come up with dry goods storage, but we don't have a big fridge because things get hidden. I forget we have it. Yeah, 100%. I've never done this, but I've seen this. It was actually pretty cool that people have made like tags that stand up that like kind of stick on like a sticky note, but that stays like rigid. And you can write on it to like write what it is. And you could just stick it on the top of the item. So it's facing up. And when you open your fridge, you can see it. I don't have them and I've never used them, but I thought that was super clever for that reason. That's also why I like the risers because they lift the stuff in the back. Excuse me. Um, my fridge and pantry are such a mess, and I don't know how to like organize it at all, nor the desire. I think the biggest thing is to go into it knowing you're going to get rid of stuff. That's actually what I wrote here. Try to go through your shelves, your storage, your shelves, your drawers, whatever. Go through your whole damn kitchen, right? But think of it as a mission to eliminate as much as possible. Now, like I said before, when I say eliminate, I mean, or you can donate things, you can sell things, you can regift things or, ask people around you if they want them, whatever, or just straight up toss it if you're not going to use it. But go into it with the intention of streamlining it, minimizing it, making it as empty as possible. You know, again, I say this with a sensitivity towards those with hoarding disorder. So, but if you don't, I know it's going to seem like a huge undertaking, but don't combine the process of storing it correctly with eliminating. Just go in there and try to slim it down. Slim down the inventory if you haven't used it. What did I write here? Hold on. Organize things in according to frequency of use and toss whatever is expired. Or if it takes you longer than 30 seconds to know how you are going to use the item, like if you have to like really think on it and be super inventive, and you're like, that's the one thing. If you have to think on it more than 30 seconds about being super inventive on how the hell you're going to use it, and if you can somehow manage to do that, put it in your calendar. That's my biggest hack. If you don't want to actually book the day you're going to use that item, whether it be a food item, an appliance, whatever, because you really deep down know that you're not within a week, right? Get rid of it. Get rid of it. So go through and slim down everything you can. If you haven't used it or whatever, not for nothing. No one's gonna be, I don't think you're gonna miss the friggin' garlic press that you haven't even taken out of the box in the back, For those types of things, just put them on Marketplace, put them on the no, what did you say? The free group, what did you call it? Do, do, do. Yeah, buy nothing in the buy nothing group, so just try to slim it down as much as possible. Then once you have really stripped down what you got taking up all the space, then you can look and you just start trying to group things together. Then you can have space to maybe get boxes or containers or whatever to store your things. It really makes a difference in the energy. I can't even explain it. Let's see. So the more you can slim down the cabinets and the shelves or whatever, wherever you have it, the more you can eliminate counter clutter, like I was saying. And the thing about counter clutter that I recommend is to bite the bullet. I know everybody's talking about getting rid of the doom boxes and everything. Like, how do I unpack my doom boxes? This is the situation I'm going to tell you should have a doom box, because for that film that I was talking about, that just random orbit of shit that just finds its way to your countertop that you don't know what to do with the stuff, you say to yourself, does this have a home? If it doesn't, do I need it? Can I get rid of it? If you can't, then put it, and you don't know where else to put it, it goes in the kitchen doom box. Whenever you need something, you go check the kitchen doom box. Keep the kitchen doom box clear. Get like a clear tote if you can. Object permanence. Things need to be visible. The goal is visible with as little aggressive clutter as possible, stressing you out. So go through and edit your kitchen, your counter clutter. And by the way, I'm going to put the notes from today's call on the post. I know this is like an information dense lesson, but once you've eliminated and you slim down your cabinets, then eliminate and slim down your countertop. Keep a doom box for the things that you're like, I don't know what to do with them, that you're going to be tempted to just put back down on the counter. No, put it in the clear doom box. Even if that goes in another room, it exists because it is what it is, It serves that purpose. So to go back to it. It'll become a place you check for things. So, what did I write here? Shelves. Utilize shelves when you can. I know that sounds like such like, oh my God, what groundbreaking, Michelle, but truly, can you even put maybe one shelf around the perimeter of your kitchen to get stuff away from your visual clutter? Can you pick a wall and put shelves there? Could you add an extra shelf to a cabinet? Try to find interesting ways to store your things, because you want them up off the counter and up off the floor for visual clutter, for that anxiety that comes with, I don't even want to be in this room, right? Utilize wall space and overhead space. Okay, so speaking of floor space. So right now, I want you guys to tell me, in your kitchen, what is taking up your floor space in your kitchen right now? That I mean, besides like your cabinets, your appliances, what are some of the things lingering on in your floor space right now in your kitchen? Tell me in the chat. Dog beds. What else in the kitchen? You guys got garbage bags, usually reusable grocery bags and pet bowls. Yep. What else? If you go look at your kitchen right now, what do you guys got on there on the floor? You don't have anything. Okay, awesome. That's good. Just my cat's food and water fountain. Yeah. So I find that it's an underrated area where there typically tends to be a lot of stuff, right? Like, so, okay, drink can, step stool, rice dispenser, bulk boxes. It's a small apartment. Yes, that's what I mean. Like, is I think based on your setup, some areas can be cluttered, floor space particularly. And I think, tell me if you guys agree or not, like, but I think that crowded floor space adds to having less desire to be in the room, even if you're not like claustrophobic. Just kind of becomes an area that you don't want to be chilling out in, really, you know? So I would focus on, if that is an issue for you, if you're watching this, how can you find like spots for the things that are on the floor to not have it in your visual clutter when you're in a visual space when you're in there? So, is there a bag organizer that you could get and keep in a closet somewhere? Are there, like before, are there shelves that you could put in? Could you repurpose a lower cabinet? Could you find a better, more tidy way to have that stored so that it doesn't, like, for example, one of my clients, this is like the silliest change, but it made such a difference. Like she said, it made such a difference. She had big dogs, has big dogs. So she would have the dog food bags on the floor and they would, fall over and stuff. So there would be dog food around. They were kind of floppy. So they took up more space than you would think, right? And she had the extra ones underneath. So she ended up storing the extra ones in her garage and then getting really cute canisters to put the dog food in, and she still left them on the floor there, so they still took up the space, but they didn't create visual clutter that felt like it just added to that feeling of not wanting to be in that room. So you might be hearing this and rolling your eyes at me, but I'm telling you, don't knock it till you try it. The magic of containers, and I know wastefulness, right? I don't know. Go to an estate sale. There's tons of places you could go to buy secondhand cool containers and make your area look tidier if that's something that you're dealing with. So don't knock it till you try it. Little changes add up. But yeah, what did I write here? Okay, so like the hallway leading out of the apartment, that was one area we ended up utilizing shelf space for. She got clearance from her landlord, one of my clients, and she used the hallway like leading down the stairs outside of her apartment. A closet, a basement, garage, under steps, a crawl space, a bathroom shower nobody friggin' uses. I know that sounds crazy. Um, but that being said, don't put things in those areas. Like I know, oh my God, I'm losing my voice. Don't put things in areas that you're just totally not going to use them. I'm dealing with this right now. If you guys have been following me for a while, you know that I use that like tanning lamp in the sun in the wintertime. And it's like big and clunky, and I'm trying to find a place that I can affix a shelf and just have it be a permanent home there where I can just walk up to it and use it. I don't have to pull it out of anywhere because I haven't been using it. And with the baby and everything like that, I mean, the weather's been shit too. I haven't gotten any of the UV rays that I need to get simply because I'm not going to go like pull out the tanning lamp from right now. It's stored in my extra shower that no one uses because it was just on my floor, taking up space before. So there are always going to be these annoying things like that. But that being said, if it's something that you're looking to utilize, don't go put it in a back room if you can, to avoid the problem like you guys were saying, where And like I was saying, out of sight, out of mind. Um, I have a fridge in my garage I really want to use, but I'm scared it will be a food graveyard. Yes, that's the hard part. I mean, granted, you could put extras of things or bulkier things like in there. Like if you have a lot of, like, we'll utilize it for soda cans. We'll utilize it for big packaged items like Costco type style things where if you get like a lot of big bags of things, you keep one usable in the inside and then put the others there. Um, the fridge is hard because it's not like you're going to put meats and stuff in there, but the freezer out there, you can put meats that can't be quickly used. Like if you have roast stuff, things that you feel like you're only like a whole roast chicken. I don't know, I'm making stuff up. But if you have a freezer in another area, again, keep the stuff you use more closer. Put the stuff you don't use in there. And maybe stick a dry erase on that fridge. And on it, write what the hell is in the fridge on the dry erase board. So this way, at least like, it's there. Um, Yeah, let's workshop how I can use the freezer. Yeah, super fun. We'll talk about it on our next call. Figure it out. I love Costco. I need to make another Costco run. Okay, so sink space. Then that leads into the sink space here. So that's the hard one, right? That's the hard one. Nick says that my magical talent, like my best talent is creating dirty dishes. he'll be he'll be doing the dishes and he'll be like, all right, I'm all good. And then all of a sudden you hear the clank or like a utensil or a cup or something in there. I try not to. I don't know. I just if I use a fork, well, I mean, I guess the idea is to wash it off and put it away. Like, what am I gonna save my fork the whole day? Anyway, um, utilize recyclable paper products when you can. That's one option. I know someone, an environmentalist somewhere would yell at me for that, but like, if it's a sink that is like, where hopes go to die, maybe consider swapping out your sink if possible. Like I think it's really hard with those sinks that are split in the middle. I feel like that takes up so much space. So much space. Um, Let me see what you guys are saying. Where do they come from, the dirty dishes, man? I don't know. It really is like a talent, I guess, because like I don't do it intentionally. It is natural. It just comes natural that I attract dirty dishes. So it's so small and shallow, and it's one reason I want a house so badly. It gets full too easily. That's a hard one. Do you guys have a dishwasher or do you have space at least for like a disposable dishwasher? Disposable, oh my God. I'm tired. Portable, like the ones that move around or whatever. Disposable dishwasher. Um, that's rough. I don't have any good suggestions besides something you've probably heard from the older generations, right? Like just wash it off and put it back when you use it. I'm like, okay, if it were that easy, I'll do it. But yeah, exactly. It's the other alternative that I also utilize is Nick washes the dishes. Um, Nick is the dishwasher. Sorry, guys. Um, Keep a stack of paper plates at all times. Yeah, it sucks because like every now and again you're like, oh, I wish I had the plastic one. It's so much better. But I like to reconcile the little bit of waste with the fact that I try to go for paper. So, and again, whatever fed is best, right? They say it about babies. I think it's the same thing for us. Fed is best. So, whatever's going to help you save your money, eat at home, feel good about it, not get overwhelmed and want to crash out, like use the paper plates. So, um, be careful with scrub daddies. I know that sounds really random. I was reading something on it, and I'm not a big like I don't get really easily worked up about a lot of like the clickbait alarmist stuff out there around, food products, and I'm not very crunchy, like so that this is not coming from a place of hysteria here. but I was reading some really crazy things about scrub daddies and the fact that they part of like their what makes them so great at what they at being, basically sponges, but what makes them different is the material they're made of releases a shit ton of plastic. Like it can create a buildup. What made me look into this was we were dealing with like a really bad algae problem in our pool last year, and a lot of the suggestions were to put a scrub daddy in the friggin' like basket thing, and that was supposed to help the algae. But then I saw a bunch of comments from plumbers that were like, do not do that. The scrub daddy will clog your system. Like it disintegrates and it releases so much film and plastics that it will coat your pipes and screw your pipes. So like we're using that on our food, you know? So will you survive if you use it? Yes, you'll be fine. But I don't know, it skeeves me. So I'm just like, and I'm not very big. Like I still store stuff in plastic containers in my fridge, like I just think that that image didn't sit well with me to think about using it on food safe stuff. So just keep it in mind. Um, I got this silicone scrubby thing that helps. The reason I'm saying this for your sink, by the way, who else will avoid doing the dishes because that scungy little sponge is hanging out under some dish that had mayo on it or something, like something somewhere gross. There's like that tattered ass sponge that's under there, and you don't even want to touch it. So you're like, I'm going to order tonight because I literally don't want to clean my sink. Ever been there? I know it sounds crazy, but I'm not judging because I have. So I actually got a little silicone scrubby thing. Hold on. I love this thing. I didn't get it. I think my mother-in-law got this, right? This was a Nicoletta purchase. Okay. Um, Nick's little efficient Italian mom who like could cook for an army within a few hours. Like she and clean everything too. Whatever neurodivergent she is like the one I wish I got. So this thing is great. It's like all these little, it's very tactilely satisfying too, but it gets all that shit off. And for all I know, this shit's releasing plastic. I've just thought about it, but it's BPA free. So there's that. And it is easy to disinfect. And the sponges aren't, and it lasts longer. So I love these things. I'm going to ask her where she got it from, and then I'm going to post it in the page because I don't know if it excites anyone else like it does me. Even though I don't even do the dishes, but on principle alone, it's exciting. So, um, appliances and accessories. If you don't use it regularly, put it away somewhere like out of sight inconveniently, right? But keep a note on your phone with where it's at, within it, like a little inventory list. Keep an inventory note on your phone anywhere you put anything on your inventory list, put it on that note because you could just reference it, right? So I'm not saying you have to get rid of it. I will say though, if you haven't even taken the appliance out of the box since you got it, I'm talking to especially my married clients listening to this who got stuff from their wedding that they literally have never used. Send it on to better times. Like just give it to someone else, donate it, sell it, get it out of there. You don't need it. You don't use it. I'm saying this. I have a dehydrator in the back I got to do this with, right? I know. I can feel you. I can feel Nick peering at me, like glaring at me from stage left. So get rid of it. We can hold each other accountable. I'll get rid of my friggin' food dehydrator. No, if I really want to use it. Okay. I'll make you guys a deal. If I don't use my freaking food dehydrator this week, I won't. I'm going to get rid of it. And I want you guys to get rid of something too that you don't need because I know we all got it. All of us. Okay. You hold me to it, I'll hold you to it. Or maybe I'll just make a shit ton of fruit leather this week, finally, for the first time in the last 15 years. So, um, keep the ones that you do use more frequently. I can't recommend keeping an air fryer out enough. I think it is the ultimate neurodivergent appliance. They make all kinds of little ones if you don't have one. I love them. Keep that one out, right? But maybe you won't need the blender, the full ass blender, that your aunt gave you. Like maybe you don't need to keep that on your counter. So edit accordingly. And if it is in the budget, find a better home for what you got. But if you have an older appliance that you know is clunky as hell, maybe it is time to upgrade for a more streamlined version of it, because they do create more streamlined versions if it's in budget, and like I said, ethically get rid of what you have already. But maybe I don't need a coffee machine and three French presses. Maybe two of your friends want a new French press, you know? And if you haven't used your coffee machine at all, you know, maybe someone else will. I get it. I don't judge anyone. I've had my Nespresso machine sitting back there. Now I'm like, now I want to order pods. But it was amazing for a few weeks. I loved it. And then I can't tell you last time I used it. So we all have that. Okay. But it really helps when you try to get through that. And, don't hold on to it. Find the dopamine in streamlining. That's the number one thing. And treat your fridge and your food storage like you would want your meal to, with the same amount of energy and effort that you would want your meal to represent. I butchered that delivery, but you know what I mean. I'm tired. So I hope this was helpful. I'm really looking forward to talking to you guys individually and troubleshooting your own kitchen, obstacles, because they are obviously so different from each one of us. But try to utilize the tips from tonight and see what you can, create for yourself. You might be surprised. All right. Good night, everybody. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.